Greetings everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is Private Will, and this is video number 2 of the playthrough I'm planning to do on Cruel Necessity, the English Civil Wars of 1640 to 1653. So now you see I set up everything, placed all the components on the board. The shot's going to be a little high. I had to rearrange my camera a little bit because the board is a little bigger than some of the other games I've played before, and it was kind of difficult to see everything from the other angle my camera was placed on. So it's going to be a little high, but hopefully you'll still be able to see quite what's going on, and I'll also do my best to describe things as much as possible, give you an idea of what is being said on the board. But I mean, as you can see, the board is pretty simple. You've got British Isles, so you got Ireland, England, Wales, but it's included, and Scotland, where all the major battles and conflicts took place during those civil wars. The rest of the board is basically the track on this side, where you are able to track how well or how bad certain things are doing. Like, for example, the first one here, Ireland. This is the monarchy, Catholicism, Scotland, Parliament, and Puritanism. So each one moves up and down depending on certain events and how well you actually deal with those events as the game progresses. Now, Ireland starts under the royalist control, and there's also a track over here. You're not going to see it because it's at the bottom, where as things progress in Ireland, then you can get into what's called the Irish troubles, and then there's modifiers that are applied to the armies of Ireland. You try to prevent that as much as possible. You've got two sides of things here that you want to control. Basically, Puritanism and Parliament is the two major tracks that you're really concerned as a player in this game. Those are the two tracks that you are responsible for. The other ones, you want to make sure that they applied as best as possible. You can move them in the sense where it's going to help you the most. Sometimes it's going to be a little bit more difficult depending on what the cards are being drawn and what's happening. Now, what you want to avoid on this track, it goes from A to F on both sides, and you want to make sure that you never have some of the tracks here, like Catholicism, monarchy, or Ireland, all at F, because you're automatically in big trouble at that point. So this is something that you want to manage very carefully. The game is basically moved along by the cards. So each card, well, there's only one side to each card, but I'm going to play them. Usually this is the prologue, and then turn it around, and this is card number 1. Now, what you normally do is you shuffle them up and you play them randomly so that the game is different every time. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to play them in order for this one time, just to give you an idea of what the events were for the English Civil War as they happen one by one. So I'm just going to play them like that. But normally you would just shuffle them up, and you're not going to know exactly what's going to happen, except that you know that card 27 will be the last card, which was going to be the end of the First Civil War. So how does it really work? So, well, each card has 3 sections, and you basically go, well, you got the intro, and then do a section here. So you go from top to bottom and you apply what happens for the armies, for religion, and for social events. How do you deal with the armies? Well, as the card will say, the armies will move in sort of a per territory. So each army start in one section. See them here. And then the card will tell you to move it from one to the next as deactivated until they reach a fortress where a siege will then occur. At that point, the army cannot move until they flip the siege, and then they can keep going. Now, there's a few places where you want to make sure that you prevent these from reaching a certain point. Like I said, Ireland, so you don't want to have the Irish troubles as much as possible. And London, because of course it's down here, you're probably going to see it here, because you want to make sure that London is not under siege, at which point the game will start to be on the losing side for you. Battles take place on top over here, and you draw the units from these over here. Same for the Parliament forces. You got cavalry for the Parliament. Some units have names and they have different strength. So you just draw them up blindly and you set them up on the board here, and then you resolve the battle first, second, third, and fourth. And casualties for your side go over here, and depending on what the result of those casualties are, you either draw, have a victory, or you have a defeat, which is of course something you don't want to happen. So once you've completed a card, it's now your turn as a player to react to what's happening, and you get zeal points. You get 5 of them at the start of the game, and you use each point in order to create your action for that particular event of that card. So it would be either to push back an army, affect the political board here or the religious board, to put down some revolts. You got 2 different type of revolts here, devilry and clubmen, and so on. So this is pretty much how the game goes. You then clean up your board of anything that's not needed, and then you move on to the second card, where you start again reading the event, and you go from there. So that's the game goes like this. So the first Civil War has a total of 27 cards, as you can see. They're in order right now, like I said. I'm just going to play them in order, just to give you an idea of what were the events that affected the English Civil War in real time at that moment. And eventually what you do is, like, when you want to play this again, you just remove card 27, because that's always the last card that you play, and you shovel the other card except the first one, of course, and then everything happens randomly. And then you really have to deal with the events. Sometimes you get very lucky, you get a couple of cards that goes your way. Other times you get 1 or 3 or 4 cards that are really not going your way, and then you're really in trouble. So that's the appeal of this game, because of the card system. You can simulate different events every time that you play the game. It's really different all the time. I'm an old school gamer. It took me a while to get used to the idea of cards in war games. I mean, I've had games before with cards, but it was a little different. It was more, it was things like games like Upfront, for example. I mean, this is probably not going to tell you much if you've never played war game, or a game like Modern Naval Battles, which have cards instead of counters, and there's no maps. So, but games in the sense where the cards are the element of the game, and they kind of draw how to give you what the next steps are. For me, that was almost like not, it was, I guess, not religious or something. It just felt too weird to me at first. I've warmed up since the last few years on that, because of games like this, and a few other games that I purchased that kind of made me realize, okay, well, it's not as bad as I thought it was. So there you have it. So that's the setup for the game. So this is going to be video number 2. I'm going to start the third part very shortly, within a few days, and we're going to be able to see the sequence of events, how the play is, and we're going to see if I can replay the Civil War, the English Civil War, step by step as it happened, and if I can do better, or maybe worse, than the Parliament forces did against the forces of King Charles I. See how I do. Until then, well, stay safe, everyone, and see you next time.